Oh good, you're still alive. Hi, I'm LethalBenzine, and today I want to talk about pet food. This is a video that I've been very unsure about making for several reasons. It's not a positive video. It calls out a few businesses and companies and things like that. It's not something I would typically do, but because it's about my animals and because they are family to me, I thought I should let everybody else know what my situation was and my experience with this company over the past couple years. It's not just me, I swear, it's not just like a bad experience. I've talked to people who've had the same experience, so I'm just gonna put this out there. I don't know yet if I'm gonna use brand names. I might, because I feel like without it, what would be the point? So recently, I've been unhappy with the dog food that I've been feeding my 3 dogs, that I've been feeding them for about 10 years now. I just noticed a few things that I had never attributed to being due to the food before I read complaints and reviews online that were very similar to the problems that I was having at home. So we looked into changing my dog's food, which opened up a whole new nightmare of what's good, what's safe, what's affordable. Just what do you do? I am the owner of 3 very small, fluffy, and not fluffy dogs. My first dog that I ever owned was Aladdin. He is a full-blood Shih Tzu. He's 15 years old. He'll be 16 in June. And he was my first actual experience owning a dog. He was like my first ever dog that was just mine for me to care for. And I got him when I was around 10 or 11. My second dog that I got is Todd, who is a Shih Tzu Rat Terrier. He is 10 and he'll be 11 in October. He's my first experience with a terrier type dog. We went to go see the puppies because we'd never heard of a Shih Tzu being mixed with something, so we wanted to see what the puppies were, and I absolutely fell in love with him. He was this little ball, he was just a chubby little puppy, so we brought him home. And my third dog is Ella, who is a Shih Tzu and Lhasa Apso, and Ella is 7 years old. She will be 8 in October. Her birthday is a day after Todd's, October 9th and then October 10th. We got her to be a companion for Aladdin because he loved really small, fluffy dogs, but she ended up being very overbearing. Anywhere he was sitting, she was either on top of him or right next to him, so she was a bit much, but she loves him and they all get along really well, which is amazing. I call them my little tiny pack of dogs because that's what they are. They're just my tiny pack. So over the years, we've been through a few different dog foods. We don't switch them around a lot because we tended to find something and stick with it, which I'm learning now might not have been the best course of action, which upsets me because if you think you're feeding something safe and you're thinking it's good for them, why is it causing problems? So the dog food that I was feeding my dogs was Nutro adult chicken, brown rice, and oatmeal. That was the formula that I was feeding them. And we never switched formulas. It was always the mint green bag with the small dog on it. So this dog food brand has pretty much been the only one I've been using for the past at least 8 years. And I have noticed over the years small things that I'd never thought would be due to the food. One example would be that my dogs vomit a lot, and all of my friends pretty much own cats, so I had nothing to compare this to. My dogs were vomiting a few times a month, and it would be this yellow bile. There was no food in it, there was no contents of anything, they had gotten into something. It was just this yellow bile. And when I would talk to people, the vet or whatever, they would say, well, maybe you're not feeding them enough. I free feed my dogs, I leave the food down all day. They aren't dogs that are gonna go and finish the whole bowl at once. They like to pick throughout the day. So I leave that down because it's easier for them to get to if I'm not here, or if they're hungry in the middle of the night or something. It's easier for them to go and pick it up themselves, and they won't finish the bowl. They'll leave some and then come back to it. So that works for us. I know a lot of people say that's not the way to feed, but a lot of people do that also. It just depends on the dog. So it wasn't a matter of them not eating enough. I would notice the vomit very frequently, and that was over the years. This has not been a recent problem. This has been over the years. And I just now went into researching it, and when I went online, I went to different websites that had reviews, and I started noticing a pattern of a lot of people complaining about the yellow bile. This set off red flags in my mind. That's something that I thought everybody's dog did, and apparently it's due to this brand of food. I looked up Nutro's food, and The one like top complaint that I saw was that dogs of all different sizes were doing this weird vomiting thing, and it was always yellow bile. It never contained any food. People didn't know why it was happening. They didn't think that their dogs had gotten into anything, just like mine. Mine are mostly indoor dogs. We don't have a fenced-in yard at the moment, so there's no way that they could have picked something up without me seeing, because I'm always with them when they're outside. So that wasn't the thing that really set this into motion. The second thing that happened was we bought a new bag of the same dog food, Nutro, the same formula, the chicken, brown rice, and oatmeal. And I went to feed my dogs. I'd been feeding it for like a day or two. Two of my dogs, Ella and Todd, both vomited the same day, like within minutes of each other. And it was the yellow bile, and I'm like, okay, that's kind of weird. Because usually they'll vomit, but it'll be one of them. It's nothing that would like point to, oh, it's this bag of food here. It was Tuesday, January 17th. I went to feed my dogs from this container here. I usually put their dog food in this, which I now know you're supposed to leave it in the bag. Didn't know that before, sorry. I have been cleaning this out frequently, so I don't believe it was something in here. This was cleaned when I put the new bag of dog food in it. I went to feed them to fill their bowl with a little scoop that I have. And while I was walking with the food, I noticed that one was like dangling. And I'm like, how is that even possible? So I pulled it out, and when I pulled out the dog food, there was this weird like hair-like fiber. It didn't look like hair. It looked like some kind of like fiber or thread sticking out of the dog food, like it was baked into it. So I put that piece aside onto the counter because I wanted to like study it. And I put the dog food back because I was like, oh. So I went online, I looked up all these like complaints and reviews, and I found a lot of things on the recent batch of food from, I believe it was November 2016 to the present. And people were finding things in their food. A lady found a mummified rat, like a baby rat. People were complaining about their dogs getting sick, vomiting yellow bile, vomiting blood. And I was like, oh, something's going on. So I wanted to contact the company. So I made a complaint. I filed a report on it to the FDA. I sent an email to the company off of their website, and then it gave me an actual email, so I copied that and I sent the exact same complaint into the actual company's email. I also spoke to a friend of the family who fosters dogs for adoption, and she used to feed Nutro the same as I did. And I asked her about it, and she said, oh yeah, we stopped feeding that a while back when all the dogs got sick. All of her foster dogs. This was a pivotal moment of me thinking like, I'm done with this brand, but I wanted answers. I wanted it to be acknowledged. So I spoke to a lady at Nutro, and she told me there's no fillers or flavoring, and they have many quality checks to make sure that the food is like safe. They also told me that the photos that I sent of the food and the bag, because I always take a picture of the barcode on the back with the expiration date before I empty the food, which now I don't have to because I keep it in the bag. But I had a picture of that, and I had a picture of the kibble that had the fiber in it. So I sent them to the company, and they claimed that they didn't get them. So I resent them, and then I called back to be like, hey, did you get my email? Still hadn't, so they resent the email to me, and I sent the pictures directly to them, which I haven't heard back from. So the thing that kind of got me a little irritated, I called a couple times, I gave them my case number, they knew who I was, they knew the problem. The lady asked if I wanted coupons for a new bag. And I just politely said, no, we're gonna go with a different brand from now on. And she said, okay, well, we're gonna send you a refund. It was a 33-pound bag of dog food that cost $50. So we took our dog food back in trash bags, as they belong in, because clearly they're just trash, and got a refund. Not a refund, but we exchanged it for a different brand. I did all this research for 3 days straight, made myself completely sick about it, found the best top 2 brands that you can buy at a PetSmart or Petco, which I believe, I'm not sure how accurate this is, and it might change. Right now I'm feeding Canidae dog food. The Canidae that I'm feeding is the exact same price, but has better ratings. It doesn't have dogs getting violently ill from it, as far as I can tell. And the other brand was Merrick. Merrick has a generic brand under them that is a little cheaper, and it's called Whole Earth Farms. So those were the 3 that I could go to that had the best reviews from what I was reading online. I made an entire list. A lot of companies are owned by different manufacturers. So like Merrick is owned by Purina, which is not a good brand. Canidae is owned by Diamond, which again is not a good brand. And Nutro is owned by Mars, like the people that make the candy bars. Why are you making dog food? So I checked at my local Petco and I checked with the actual company. They both said there was no recall on this food, despite people finding like mummified rats and things in their bags and clearly having issues. Like if your dog is vomiting blood, there's something wrong with the food. It's multiple cases. Something's wrong with it and there needs to be a recall. But of course there wasn't. Anytime I tried to speak up about it, like at the pet store or on the phone with them, it seemed like they just wanted to kind of quiet you down. Like they didn't want you to make a scene. They're very like polite. They weren't rude to me at all. They wanted to fix the problem. So I received a letter from them. There you go. It says, "Dear Lynn, thank you for taking the time to contact us. We regret the inconvenience this has caused. As you requested, a refund is being processed. Please allow 3 to 4 weeks for delivery. If you have additional questions or comments, feel free to give us a call." So I actually received this letter after I received the check. They sent me a $50 check to replace the dog food that I ended up taking back to the store because I didn't want to feed it anymore. Which was very nice of them. It was very kind to offer a refund on something. It just makes me angry that they don't take it more seriously than they have been. I wanted to ask her, like, do you have dogs and what brand do you feed your dogs? Because I guarantee you it's not that brand. So as of right now, we are completely done with Nutro. The other thing that I noticed is on their bag of food, it says made in the USA, which is part of the reason why I stuck with them for so long. I was thinking, if it's not hurting them, why switch the brand to something that might kill the dogs? Not thinking that like over time it could be causing long-term side effects with the vomiting and things like that. On their crunchy dog treats, I almost bought them because I had a coupon for them. This was before this whole incident. And me and my fiance were looking at the bag and I'm like, I can't find made in USA anywhere on the bag, but I know it's on the dog food. And I was like, why would that be different? What would be in it that would be different from the dog food that they couldn't put that stamp on there? So that was another thing that kind of set off alarm bells. So Nutro, it's been a not so great past 8 to 10 years. Sorry that things had to end this way. But you know what? I'm kind of not, because if I'm on to better things for my animals, then that's what I'm going to feed them. The other good thing about the Canada dog food that I've noticed, I'm feeding the All Life Stages bag. I've noticed my 15-year-old dog eating more. He goes to the food bowl and picks out his food a lot more than he did with the other food. Also, this kibble is a lot smaller, which could have been part of the issue. The Nutro kibble is quite big compared to this Canada kibble, so I feel like it's easier for him to pick up and eat. I'm really liking that he's eating more and that they don't seem to be getting sick as much. I went on a 3-day research binge and just studied everything that I could. I looked up reviews, I looked up different sites, recommendations, I talked to other pet owners, I talked to people who foster animals to see what is the safest food out there to feed your dog that you can pick up at like a pet store. So the ones at pet stores that are easy to get to and a little more affordable are Wellness, Nature's Variety Raw Instinct Boost, Whole Earth Farms, Merrick, Canada. So these are the ones that I was looking at, and I ended up with Canada due to like price and like availability. There aren't many like mom and pop, family-owned, small business dog food stores around us. I did manage to find one, which will be either in a vlog coming up after this or I'll include a clip in this video. And they carried a lot of brands that you can't find at typical pet stores, which is great because it's really hard to order online if you're not sure if your dog's gonna like the food, if you have a faulty mail person like we do here who leaves out your packages in the rain and the snow and you don't want the food to go moldy, or if you just don't want to order food online, you can run to a store and pick it up, which is great. That's exactly what I wanted. I like being able to pick it up when I need it instead of ordering ahead of time and ordering too much or ordering too little and then having to wait and not having that food available. Because switching your dog food should be gradual, so if you run out of that specific brand, you can't just run and pick up another bag because it might make them sick. So it's very stressful, to say the least. This whole situation has been very stressful. There are a whole bunch of other ones that are only available at specialty stores. So those are Fromm's, Origin, Taste of the Wild, Earthborn, Signature, Holistic Grain Free, and Dr. Tim's, which I'd never heard of most of those. It seems like the ones that we hear about are the ones that are the most dangerous. It seems like they're on the commercials, they're given coupons for and things like that, and now I'm wondering why. I know a lot of people want to feed their dogs raw, which I think is an awesome idea, but I have a few problems with it. One being, my oldest dog is 15 years old and he's tiny and he barely has working teeth. So for him to eat raw food, I think would be really difficult and unfair on him. He wouldn't really know what to do with it because he's so used to the kibble. The second thing is that they're eating raw meat and I sleep with my dogs. They're in my bed, they give me kisses and things like that, and I'm like, oh, raw meat on my face. Not something I want. So I'm already aware of the dangers of buying treats from China. We had that whole scare with the jerky treats that were killing animals. Now they're saying that like things like milk bone and bacon strips, things like that aren't safe for them. So my dogs only eat treats that say that they're not made from China. We found companies that we liked, like Buddy Biscuits and Cloud Star treats. They're a little harder to find. I've only found them at Target and Petco. So we actually switched our pet store. We used to go to PetSmart, now we go to Petco to be able to get those treats. Those are the only ones that I'll feed them other than like homemade that I've made myself or like fresh vegetables, things like that. I'm still doing research. I'm still learning every day about what's safe and what's not safe. I'm keeping up to date on all the recalls. I bought some Merrick canned food to try, which I'm gonna hold on to because there's a lot of canned food recalls going on at the moment, so I'm not gonna open those yet until I'm 100% sure that they're not going to be something deadly. And right now my dogs are doing well on the Canada dog food, so if they continue to, we're going to stick with that. As long as the vomiting stops, I'm good with it. It just can't be coincidence when so many people are having the same issue and they're feeding the same brand of dog food. And that's what irritates me, is like they don't take it seriously. And now we're finding things like the euthanasia drug is in canned dog food. There's pieces of metal that are contaminating the dog food. There's hair fibers, and I'll insert pictures and footage and things like that. Whatever I have will be in this video so that you can fully understand I'm not exaggerating, I'm not making a big deal just to get money from a company. That's not what I want. I want my dogs to be safe. I don't want to feed them something that's going to kill them. I can't say that 100% all of the things online are true. Nobody can, but this was my experience. I found something in my dog food in this batch that had multiple problems from other owners, so we're done with them. And I'm gonna keep searching for something that my dogs like and that won't hurt them in the long run. I'm hoping that if enough complaints get to them and enough people spread the word about this food not being safe, that more people will be educated about this dog food, about the dangers that it poses, and maybe the company will actually do something about it and make safe food. It also makes me wonder if the FDA is so lenient on what goes into our pet food, what about our food? What's going into ours that isn't being tracked or monitored? What's gonna happen in the future when this becomes just typical? What's gonna happen to real food? Is it all gonna be processed, and is it all gonna have harmful ingredients in it? My dogs are like my children. They're a little hairy and they're a little noisy, but I wouldn't want to feed them anything knowing that it's poison. That's why I wanted to make this video. It's a very not positive video, so sorry about that, but I wanted to get the word out because I feel like with things like this, it gets swept under the rug very easily. I was told multiple times that, oh yeah, people don't normally follow up with this, and that's why I was like, yeah, that's why I'm doing it, because I don't want this to just get pushed aside, especially if it's a major issue affecting multiple places at one time. It's something with this dog food. And it's not only this company, it's multiple companies. Dog food is just not monitored the way that it should be. It's taken more lightly than baby food or people food, and it really shouldn't be. It should all be edible. I believe all dog food should be human grade because your children play in dog food bowls. I've seen kids eat and drink out of them. So what happens if a baby gets a hold of a piece of food? It's coming into our houses anyway, we're handling it daily. It could infect everybody. So I believe dog food should be safe for the whole family. It shouldn't just be about, oh, it's a dog. Because to me, a dog is equal to a person. It's still a life, it's still a soul, it's still something living that needs to be taken care of. I don't believe that we should just brush it off like it doesn't matter. Let me know if you've ever had a bad experience with a pet food company or an illness caused by one. You can just leave it in the comments below, or you can message me privately if you don't feel comfortable speaking out. That was one of the things I was worried about, is putting a brand name out there to bash it, and that's not what I'm trying to do. I'm just trying to educate. If it can help save an animal from being sick or hurt or even dying, then I'm gonna do it. Even if that means that I get backlash or people think that I'm doing it for different reasons. I'm not. I'm not doing it for money or a refund or anything like that. It was nice that they refunded my money, but I would much prefer the dog food be safe, and I would continue to buy it. But I'm not gonna buy something that's not safe for my animals. I will update you guys on how my dogs are doing and if we switch brands again. I'm still looking into other brands. I feel like this is gonna be a continuous search because every day more things come out that they're not safe, and there are recalls every day, so who knows what's gonna happen. But I hope that if you're feeding this dog food and you notice ill effects in your dogs, that you look into a different brand. I wish I would have done it sooner, but I'm glad I'm switching them now before it's too late. And I hope you do too if you're having issues with any brand that you're feeding. It doesn't just have to be this brand. There are a lot of them out there that aren't safe, which is sad to say. As soon as you think you find a good one, you read all these horrible reviews, or you see who they're manufactured by, or there's a recall. So it's very difficult, but don't give up hope. And hopefully this video helps somebody or some dog. This is just my little message to dog food companies to please stop poisoning our pets, because I'm sick of it. I'm sure you're sick of it. Everybody's sick of it. We just want safe food. I will have more videos up that are a little more fun, a little more upbeat, but this was something that I wanted to speak out about because it's something that actually matters to me, and I want to make sure the word gets out there that maybe companies you thought were great aren't that great. So until next time, thanks for watching, and give your dog a big hug from me. Bye!